The GallowgateShots podcast is sponsored by Tyre Spot, the North East's leading tyre supplier with branches across the region. Tyre Spot don't just do tyres, they cover everything from servicing to wheel alignment. They can handle every aspect of your car's maintenance. For more information, visit tyrespot.co.uk. Enjoy the episode.
Hi everybody, welcome back to the GallowgateShots YouTube and podcast channel. We are back with another match preview after the humbling defeat last weekend. We hopefully are going to turn the tables, put that to one side and just admit these things happen. I think that was the catchphrase on Monday night. And let's just turn our attentions back to winning ways, and hopefully we can get back to winning ways with a game against Southampton. I'm Scott, I'm your host for this one. I am back. And Matty, before we get started, we're going to have enough of those long words. There's no spaghetti, alphabetic spaghetti. Resplendent, was it?
Resplendent's 3 syllables. Just get a bit of culture, will you? Dear me. And it's so positive. It's such a nice positive word.
It is a nice positive word. I will let you off. But I am joined by Matty, as you can probably tell, and also Nichol, boys.
Hello, guy.
I had to, I won't say scrape the barrel. I wasn't scraping the barrel, but we had to really dig deep to get people to go on this one because nobody wanted to after that. After that performance at the weekend. No, I'm joking. I jest. We are always grateful to have you boys on here. But it is Southampton away. It is the 25th of January this Saturday. It's a 3 p.m. kick-off at St. Mary's, so it's not on the telly. So get your dodgy boxes ready because you'll have to find a funny stream, shall we say, on this one. Southampton, shall we read this out? I don't know if Southampton fans will want us to. Bottom of the league on 6 points. I think they're approaching a bit of a record. Not one they want to be proud of, but it's 1 win. It's 3 draws. It's 18 defeats, 15 goals scored and 50 conceded. It's a minus 35 goal difference. And I'm sorry, Southampton fans, if you're watching this, but them's is the tail of the tape. I cannot read anything else, but that's how it is. As always, I've got a few commentator stats before we get started. Blame me, these are small. What have I done here? Southampton have won just one of the last 13 Premier League games against Newcastle, drawn 3 and losing 9. And they have lost each of the last 4 in a row. Having won just one of their first 18 Premier League away games against Southampton after drawing 5 and losing 12, we have now won, Newcastle that is, have now won 3 of our last 4 visits to St. Mary's. We've only lost 1. Newcastle have lost just 1 of their last 23 Premier League games against promoted sides, and we all know which game that was. It was a 1-0 defeat against Luton last season. Since that defeat at Killingworth Road, the Magpies have scored at least 4 goals in their in 5 of their last 6 games against promoted clubs, winning the last 5 in a row. Southampton have won just 1 of the last 35 Premier League games, drawn 7 and losing 27. When converting to 3 points for a win all time, Saints 6 points is the joint second lowest after 22 top flight games, level with Sheffield United in 1975-76. I told you there was a record.
Was that the record, was it?
Yeah. With only Bolton in 1902-03 ever having fewer at this stage with 3 points. So like I said, Southampton fans, it's not a good record to be going down under. I think that's worse than the Mackems, although that is a red and white top, so maybe it's got something in common. And Newcastle have won each of the last 3 Premier League away games, last winning 4 in a row on the road in September to October do you know when, Matty?
When?
Yeah, 1996.
Oh, very good.
So it's a long time ago. So records to be broken all over the place.
Do you know what I felt like there, Scott? Do you know when your mind?
How did you feel?
Do you know? I'm not saying my mind was wondering, but do you know, like when you just were at school, and your mind just wanders that tiny little bit, and the teacher's like, "Shuttle with what you doing?" And I'm just like, "That's what answer the question." You're just like, "I've got nothing, sir. I've got absolutely now." Just admit it. That's why I was just like,
"Just keep your toes."
Well, at least it was an answer I wouldn't have known. So.
Well, it was, 1996. Boys, are we confident? Can we be confident? I mean, let's give them a bit of credit, Southampton, because last time around, Matty, it was a 1-0 win at St James. It was the opening game of the season, but let's not sugarcoat it. It wasn't the most prolific performance from us. We did have to dig deep to get that win.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think it was a different type of result that we in the moment. I think we celebrated quite a bit, and I know I did, because we didn't start well. We went down to 10 men, which I'm sure will be referenced heavily throughout this podcast. Although the perpetrator is no longer with Southampton, but he must be still injured or something from that awful assault he suffered at the start of the season. But I just thought, we're going to struggle to come out of this with anything, because of the start we'd made, and Southampton looked okay. But we scored Joe Linton, and then we just held on. And it didn't bother us too much from what I remember. I just remember a lot of blocks being made, a lot of crosses being stopped, the back four playing really well. But yeah, I know you've just read out all those stats, but it's the Premier League. We're going to have to still show up on Saturday. I think one side of the coin you can look at as there's no better team to have to play after being humbled the previous weekend. But also, there's a lot on the line, because if we don't get the result we want or need or should get, it starts fanning the flames of a bit more of a torrid time, even though it's only 2 results. But because of who we're playing, no disrespect to Southampton, because like you say, dem's the facts. You know, it's a funny old game. It's a bit of a tightrope game, I would call it.
It is, and you've got to only look at the last game, Nichol. They only just got beat by a very in-form Nottingham Forest. It was a 3-2 defeat. They put up a good fight. From what I didn't see the full game, but I saw the highlights, and they seemed to put up a bit of a fight against Forest. So, you know, we can't just, which I think Newcastle have been maybe a victim to this season, certainly, of just turning up and expecting a win. Maybe we'll have to dig a bit deeper, especially at St Mary's, to get something out of this game.
Yeah, I think with them being at home, they're not going to want to sit back too much, are they? I think at Forest at the weekend they did concede, obviously 3, and then came back a little bit. So I think they're just one of them teams that comes up that, you know, that does ship a lot of goals, struggles to keep goals out. As you've said, they've conceded over 50 already, and don't have that prolific striker up front to score enough goals. I mean, the game that we did play them in the reverse fixture, I think they did play quite well, but they just up at the top end they're a bit light, aren't they? So yeah, I still think we'll have enough to beat them on Saturday.
Yeah, let's hope. I mean, it's a weird one. I couldn't name their striker anymore, because do they still have Adam? They don't have Adam Armstrong anymore.
Last time out they played Adam Armstrong and Cameron Archer up front.
Cameron Archer's, I think, again, quite a talented player. I mean, I've liked the look of him. I think he's formerly of Aston Villa,
Middlesbrough as well.
And Middlesbrough was that a loan spell, or did they sign him?
Yeah,
whatever it was.
I think he was on loan from Villa at Middlesbrough. Yeah,
but it looked like he was a bright player. And then Adam Armstrong, you know, at this moment in time, sort of the definition of your championship striker. He's got a bit of the Dwight Gales about him.
Yeah.
You know, I think he's had some very good seasons in the championship, especially at Blackburn, where I think he had scored against us once in the cup under the Rafa Benitez days. But yeah, he's really struggling to find form at the moment. And I think, he's still there. And I think he might even be joint top goal scorer with the total of 2 goals at Southampton as well. So yeah, as much as the headline writes itself, you'd still be kicking yourself if you like the likes of, and no disrespect, the likes of Adam Armstrong, you know, because given the form that he's in.
Yeah, Nichol, is there anywhere on that pitch you've been taking a look at the starting 11? Anywhere on that pitch where you think we'll maybe have to, you know, put a bit more emphasis on, because they can cause a bit of trouble?
Yeah, well, they tend to play. They did in the last game anyway against Forest. They played 5 at the back, so I'm thinking the wing backs maybe. Obviously, I don't think Hall and Tino had their best games last time against Bournemouth. I still expect both of them to start, mind. I'm just thinking of the wing backs. Maybe that could be an area where there might be a bit of danger. But in midfield, they normally play sort of a 2, and then 1 sort of just behind the strikers. So I do think we'll be able to overpower them in midfield.
That could be where the game's won and lost, Matty, isn't it?
Yeah.
One of those fullbacks as well you mentioned, and I mean, look, I don't watch Southampton week to week, at all. But I watched them when they're on the telly, watched them in previous seasons, and watched their campaign last season when they got promoted. And one of those fullbacks is Kyle Walker-Peters, who we sort of know a lot about. We've seen him play quite a bit. I think he made I think might have even made his Premier League, like first Premier League start against Newcastle. I'm not quite sure, but I just draw 5-1 when we played, and we went out to 10 men under Rafa Benitez. I'm sure they had Kyle Walker on one side, Kyle Walker-Peters on the other, and it was just a funny thing. But like, he's the player that I sort of highlight, and he's the one where if you had to take someone for drilling, they always ask that question. You have to take someone from each of the teams in the Premier League. I'd probably be inclined to take Kyle Walker-Peters because I've seen him have bright days. But again, you can't keep too much praise on him because he is playing in a defence that has conceded a lot of goals this season. So, but yeah, I agree with Nichol that you know, when you're playing against a five at the back, I guess those wide areas coming off the back of the fullbacks' performance last Saturday, both Tino and Lewis Hall didn't cover themselves in too much glory, albeit coming off the back of 9 very good performances. Yeah, we'll see what happens, but yeah, I think probably that's where your threats are.
Do Southampton see, you know, the game at the weekend and think that's how we get at Newcastle? That's what we've got to do. And do they try and play a similar game, or is it a case, Nichol, that, you know, what happened to us can't really happen against every team because not every team can play like that. Not every team could bully us in the way that, you know, that Bournemouth did at the weekend.
Yeah, I think, you know what, I think last Saturday was a combination of them being a very good coach team and knowing exactly what they wanted to do, and our lads having an off day, because I honestly think bar Sandro Tonali last Saturday, I don't think any of them could say they put in a good performance, really. It's definitely not up to the standards that they have been doing over the last 9 games. So yeah, I think they'll probably take a bit of hope out of last Saturday, and obviously their performance at Forest last week as well was decent for them. But they'll be wanting to get off to a fast start for sure. But obviously, so will we after last week. I'm sure Eddie and the boys want to get off to a flyer and put the game to bed early.
Yeah, I mean, I think if I remember rightly, Matty, the home game wasn't the nicest of games. I mean, I remember there was a few challenges going in even after the sending off. They weren't, you know, it wasn't all sunshine and roses from Southampton. They were dirty little bastards at times as well, weren't they?
Well, I think the shithousery obviously is the pinnacle of it was what Ben Brereton Diaz did. I think was said heavy tackles. You know, I think he was on the end of one from Sean Longstaff not long after he was the perpetrator of that stupid incident. And I'll always remember his stupid grin and him clapping at Sean Longstaff, like, oh yeah, well, like, and I was like, what are you clapping at, mate? He's just flattened you, got the ball fairly, and now you're laughing and clapping at him. You look rocked, mate. But the thing is, we're talking about a player that's not even going to be playing on Saturday, so I don't know why I'm getting so. Yeah. You're taking me back, and I'm getting angry, man. I'm getting angry. But yeah, well, like we said, it was a different type of performance. We had to put up with a lot, and I think they tried to play the way they want to play, which ended up being Russell Martin's downfall. That's why he got sacked. He never really wanted to change to a plan B. He always wanted to sort of build up from the back, and if that didn't work, then there wasn't really anything they wanted to do. And I think we still pressed them quite well from what I recall, but it just became messy and bitty because when we didn't have the ball, we tried to press in areas, but then we had to sit off because of a consequence of being down to 10 men. And yeah, it wasn't exactly backs to the wall, but yeah, like you said, it was just a bitty game. Lots of tackles, lots of challenges. I've just had a brainwave, by the way. Kyle Walker-Peters did make his debut against Newcastle, but it was in a 2-0 loss. Just to correct anyone's going to come for me in the comments. It wasn't in that fantastic 5-1 last game relegation season. But
it's too late. They would have already. It's already been sent. It's already been sent. And there'll be another one now going, yeah, you're right, actually. You reply to the reply.
Never mind.
Nichol, is there anyone? Obviously, we all know Eddie Howe kind of picks his team based on performances. And he's not going to change the entire 11, although if he could, he probably would based on the weekend. But is there anyone you would rotate from a Newcastle side based on, I'm not saying based on the weekend, because I think that was just a blip. But, you know, the team we've got coming up, the games we've got coming up, because, okay, we've got Fulham, you know, the week after, but then we've got a pretty important game in Arsenal, you know, the midweek of next week. Is there any rotation that you would do, or do you think it's just, you know, back to normality? You know, let's just hit the ground running again with the same 11 that we're pretty much used to.
Yeah, I was going to say same 11 go again, but I've just had a thought about maybe you might switch out Botman for Shaw. maybe thinking he might do that. That's the
Because it
only
was
thing
tactical, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, that's what he said anyway.
Yeah, all being well with injuries, and obviously we're doing this before he does his press conference. I think that's the only position where there might be a change, and I think it's purely just because it's a right and a left footer, and I don't know why that's a thing. Everyone in football is saying, I don't know why it's a thing why two players with the same like strong foot can't play. But last week their press we struggled, and I think although I think it was Byrne who was struggling more, I still think he's like undroppable at the minute because I think he's probably been the best centre back.
There was a few
season.
people in the comments for like the reactions, and I sort of get where they'll come from to a degree because there was people saying if it was tactical, the Botman sub, then I think you should have brought Cher on for Byrne instead because he seemed to be the one who's trying to play all these passes out and doing them pretty poorly. We have to say, it has to be said, but I think you're right, Nichol. Like I think a lot of people look at on face value what he's doing, especially coming off the back of some great performances, by the way. But like on that day, on face value, he's not retaining the ball very well. But I think when the back's to the wall, he's the main leader on the pitch. I mean, I appreciate Bruno's the club captain or vice captain if you want to. If Trippier's on the pitch, I'm not sure how it works, but Byrne for me is the proper leader. You can see he's the one who's making sure everything, and I think that's why even in seasons past when he was constantly playing left back and people were getting really frustrated at it, it was what he does on the pitch in terms of organisation that I think that's why he's Howe's guy, and I think that's something I've not just came to terms with, something I understand, something I'm happy with, but it will be interesting to see what the centre half pairing is. I mean, one day we might see Cher and Botman, and I think that will give you a different element of being able to play from the back a little bit, start moves from centre half, whoever's there. But I think just defensively, Ben is the sensible head on the very tall, broad shoulders.
Well, it is going to get to a point where Byrne's going to need a rest because he's played all the games at the minute because Shaw's been the one who's been injured and then Botman's come in and then they've been the one that's been swapping over. Byrne is going to be the one who's, I mean, obviously it's a week between games. He shouldn't do, but he is going to need at a point to, at least one game where he's not playing, he's on the bench and maybe he'll come on to replace the other one. And I'm saying the other one because we don't know which one will have to go off. It'll be either one of the other ones if that does need to happen. But I think you're right. I think it'll be Cher or Botman and Byrne. It'll not be the all
so.
Byrne.
I think
side of it,
I think next week's game against Fulham, the one where you could see potentially any rotations, especially if there's injuries on Saturday, because obviously we've got the massive game in the semi-final, and I'm not sure is anybody suspended for that semi-final. I have a feeling that one of the defenders might be, or I don't know if they're okay now, because I know Cher was in the. Oh no, Cher's back for this one.
I think they're all right. I think we're good. Yeah, because it was Cher and Bruno were both suspended for that first leg. So I'm hoping because yellow cards now. League Cup yellow cards are just League Cup yellow cards, aren't they? They're not. It used to be back a few seasons ago. The League and the League Cup, the suspensions went across each other, didn't they? But now it doesn't. So well, I think we're okay. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, and I think because it's reset. The count hasn't reset, but it's now to 10. It's not to 5 in the league.
Mm-hmm.
I think
the cut-off points
got anyone on 8 or 9 yellows. Well, maybe it's Joel Linton. I don't know. He's still been picking them up like fun. So maybe I don't know. I don't know. We'll find out on that preview because that'll be those stats will be available then. I'd imagine. I think the biggest worry we'd have for that one is if anyone got sent off in the Fulham game. That would be the kicker because that would roll over. Anyway, that's another preview for another time. We'll talk back about Southampton. The front three, Matty. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk about who goes, but I think at the moment it has to pick itself because Harvey Barnes is injured and he's not due back till 16th of February, I think they were saying. Miggy's probably sunning it up in Atlantic and in the Atlantic. He's probably flying over the Atlantic in Atlanta, trying to sign his deal, which seems to be taking forever. So I think, we're kind of, I don't want to say stuck because it's not the right word to use, but we kind of have to pick Isak, Gordon and Murphy, which, it's not a bad three to be left with, is it?
Not a bad three to be left with at all, although they did look rather jaded like most of them on the pitch did in the last match. But yeah, I mean, I'm confident in them front three, especially Gordon and Isak. And, Murphy, again, in this run of 9 wins that we had, he more than contributed to a lot of the performances. So, yeah, I'm happy with that. Just, fingers crossed, no injuries, because then we might, like you say, you've got I don't know, Joe Willock can come off the bench. We don't really want to be putting Isak out wide, because I'm thinking, you could bring Osula on. They're not going to play with the front two, so they probably push Isak out wide. But there's a couple of sort of square peg and round hole ways we can do it. Push Joe Linton out there, put Willock in his place, or put Longstaff in his place, or put Marley in his place. There's a couple of options, so we're not totally on the bare bones. But, even...
He's been putting Joe Linton on the right, I've noticed recently, and that hasn't really been working too well. I think I'd rather put Joe Linton on the left.
On the left,
Put Gordon on the right. I mean, Gordon can play there. It's not his best position, but I think it's better than Joe Linton on the right, personally.
Yeah, I would agree. I think either or, when he puts Joe Linton out wide, if he can, he likes to implement Willock as well. I think we saw that. We get loads of joy off that a couple of seasons ago. We haven't yet seen it bear that much fruit since when we've tried it. We've talked, me and Chris, about Joe Willock's effectiveness, because I think he just hasn't got that momentum in him. I think he really needs a run of games. But how is he supposed to get a run of games when the midfield's being the way it is and the attacking front three being the way it is? It's just a necessary evil at the moment. But fingers crossed he can start contributing as the season rolls on, and hopefully it's not out of necessity. It's because he just gets there. But it does beg the question, and I don't want to take us too off piste here. I did ask Chris this on the video we did after the game, the Bournemouth game. But you've just shone a light on it, put a magnifying glass on it, Scott. That if we do get injuries, it's not like for like. It's doing some higgery-jiggery until Harvey Barnes comes back. And even then, it doesn't look the most, what's the word? That many options, So do you feel like we are walking a tightrope a little bit by when Miggy goes, you don't bring anyone else in? Because I think a lot of people are going to lose their minds over when we don't sign anyone in January. And I just came to peace with that. But you can sort of see why some people are worried.
I can. I think you'll turn to... maybe he's an under-21 player and look to bring someone up from there. I think we saw it in the last cup game with Sanasai, as called, Sanusi, which sounds like a fridge from the 90s, by the way. But I think he might start to maybe use him a bit more. I think we'll see maybe he's in the FA Cup again against Birmingham. Yep. And I think if Miggy does go, we'll start seeing him on the bench a bit more. He'll start coming on for games, and we'll maybe start utilising some of the youth players, because that's what Mitchell likes to do. Mitchell likes to utilise and bring up from the youth teams, and then if he's good enough, we'll keep him next season. If he's not quite there, he'll be the one that gets moved on in the summer for PSR, and it's pure profit then. And I think that's what will maybe happen.
Yeah, I think it'd just be a bit. I don't know. I mean, it's really hard to judge Sanusi, the young, 18-year-old, on a few minutes against Bromley. He did look very eager to please, a bit scampery. He was slipping over all the time. Bless him.
Had the wrong blades in, didn't he?
Yeah. But like I said, I'm not going to judge him too harshly on that. And hopefully, you're right. We've got
good in pre-season.
Yeah, diamond in the rough.
Pre-season, yeah.
But I don't know. I think just given the lack of minutes that you see Osula getting as well, it doesn't fill me with as much. I don't believe that we're going to look to that. I think it's just going to be, let's just see if we can make it with what we've got, which I think is going to frustrate some, and sort of just seen absolutely. As it was always going to happen by the likes of me. I've just always thought that this January was going to be, let's see who we can sell, and we'll sit on it till summer when that 1 year of accounts gets cut off and it freezes up a little bit. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, we'll move on. You'll notice he's not here. Daryl, or Dasmo, he's out swanning it. We don't know where he is.
Shanmat.
But don't fear, Ref Watch fans. He has pre-recorded his ref watch for this one, and he's going for a prediction. So after this, we'll jump straight into that. But here he is with this week's ref watch. Brace yourselves. No, it's fine. Here he is.
Hi everybody, and welcome back to Ref Watch, this time for the game away at Southampton on Saturday. And the man in the middle for this one will be Sam Barrett from West Yorkshire, his second Newcastle game of the season after the 3-1 win against Brentford at home in the EFL Cup quarter-final. It's only his third NUFC game of his career. The only other time that we saw him would have been in that game against Brentford earlier this season, and also in a 3-0 win at St James's over Fulham last season. Sam Barrett has been a Premier League referee since 2024, having refereed in the EFL since 2020. His Premier League stats for this season: he's done 14 games, that's joint fourth most alongside Simon Hooper. In those 14 games that he's done this season, he's issued 68 yellow cards and no reds to date. VAR for the game will be Chris Kavanagh, a familiar face that we've seen a few times already this season. We last saw him on VAR for the win at Spurs earlier this month, and he was also on VAR duty for the game at home to West Ham, which we sadly lost 2-0. And he was also in the middle for games away at Wolves, which we won 2-1, and also at home to Chelsea in the EFL Cup fourth round, which we won 2-0. Quick prediction for you boys: I think we'll bounce back from the defeat to Bournemouth and pick up a 2-0 win. Come on.
There you go. Mr. Barrett with 0 red cards.
Best time for anything. Yeah.
It's Joe Linton getting sent off, isn't it?
Jeez.
Yeah, cheers, Daryl. We'll might see you in the next one if you're available. I don't know, busy boy these days, so we'll see what happens. Aye. You see what happens there. They start getting lives, and then we get pushed to the side. That's what happens, anyways. Lads, let's turn our attentions to our predictions. I need to fasten my teeth in today. I'm having trouble getting my words in. Matty, mate, what's your prediction for this one?
Look, I want to be positive. I'm going to be positive. Ultimately, I've always said that any sort of negativity from me over the last 2 or 3 seasons has always just been informed by when we've been sort of burnt in the past. Even though we've never been a consistently good side, just when things have seemed to be getting good, there's just something bad happens, you know. That being said, you've talked about Southampton breaking all sorts of records in terms of their point total at this stage in the season. They are on course to obviously beating Derby's total of, I think, 11 points from way back when. For those points were against Newcastle United. The only win was against Newcastle United. That's why I get nervous when we start talking about teams who have got records playing against Newcastle. The likes of Sheffield United, when Bruce famously played his 2 false 10s and they hadn't won since, well, I don't think they'd won that season. We go there, we give them a win. That being said, I don't think that's going to happen. It's just the reason. It's just what niggles away in my brain when I think of these sorts of games. Like I said at the top of the show, I think there's no better opportunity for us to bounce back. Doesn't matter who you're playing. It's 3 Premier League points if we can get them. I think we will get them. I think it's going to be a flip of a coin on whether it's a sort of not smash and grab, but an odd goal win. Even if we go down 1-0 early doors, we've got it in us to come back. We showed that against Spurs and we've showed that against other teams as well. However, I'm hoping we can get the first goal and I'm hoping that'll give us confidence and our pressing game will be back, reinvigorated after a week. Some of the lads have been on holiday. You've seen Bruno's in Italy and stuff. So hopefully reinvigorated, regenerated, and we'll win 3-0. I'm going clean sheet as well.
You go clean sheet and everything. There we go.
Yeah.
I always remember the championship season where Blackburn did the double on, but still got relegated.
Well, there you go, Scott. It's funny you should say that. Just not to nick off of Nichol's prediction. Sorry, mate. But that's what I was saying on the way up the game. The last time we got a chance to win 10 in a row, 10 league games. Sorry, not 10 league games, 10 games in all competitions. It was in the championship, and we had Blackburn, bottom of the league at home. Charlie Mulgrew scored, and then we go to Ewood Park. Charlie Mulgrew scored, both 1-0. And if you look it up, a minute between, I think he scored in the 74th minute at St James's Park, 75th minute at Ewood Park. Sometimes it just feels like the gods just don't want it. They just don't want it. And
it's almost like it's fixed.
It's almost like it's fixed. But sorry, anyway, you're lighting a negative fire underneath me, Scott. Some of the stuff.
Quick, put it out, Nichol. Put it out. Give a prediction.
I'll be right.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything Matty said. You know, we've got them Dr. Newcastle fears of years gone by, but I think it's a bit different now. And I am going to match his prediction. Actually, I was going to say 3-0 as well.
Nice.
I think we'll keep a clean sheet, and I think we'll go down there and do the business. I'm going to go for an Isaac goal, a Gordon goal, and a Joe Linton one.
Oh, hey.
It sort of feels like a Joe Linton goal game to me. Like, I don't know what. It just
He scored
feels-
at Southampton before in the cup last 2 years ago.
Just
Yeah.
after missing
Is that when
City,
is that when they danced? Is that with the,
No,
the
that was
Brazilian
Norwich.
flag?
That's
Is that
Norwich.
Norwich?
he did the like pumping
Oh, he
his
did the muscle up.
arm
wasn't
up.
he?
Yeah.
Yeah. So 3-0. Yeah, how are the lads?
No, we're the lads to top it up as well. There we go. I cannot not agree, really. I think I was going to go 3-0, if I'm being honest with you. So I think we'll go for a trio of 3-0s. I agree. I think, again, I'm just shadowing what you said, Matty. There's no better time to play these. We need a reaction, and I think we're going to get one. I don't think Eddie Howe is going to accept anything less.
Mhm.
I don't think it'll be anything but a bit of a steamroller of a game. I can't see it being anything else. And I don't mean that in any way to disrespect Southampton. I just think the lads are just going to have to. I think we're going to see the same reaction that we got after the what was the
Brentford 4-2.
Brentford game?
Yeah.
When we got beat in the game after that, where you just saw a completely different side, and I think we're going to see that again on Saturday. And I think 3-0, and I mean, you cannot knock back Isak to score these days. Anthony Gordon, and do you know what? I'm not going to say Joe Linton. I'm going to go for a Bruno goal. I think he's going to get another header. He likes his headers at the moment.
Scored two in 2 seasons at St Mary's, I believe. Scored his first ever goal for Newcastle at St Mary's.
That lovely back heel. Oh,
yeah,
what a
and
lovely
then
back heel.
And ironically, I think that game Chris Wood scored his I don't know it was his first goal, but he scored his best goal. I think it was a really nice header. And then the following season, we did them. I think it was 4-1, and Bruno and Chris Wood scored again. So there's a sort of a little bit of symmetry for you as well. But just on the back of what you said, Scott, I mean, like you say, no disrespect to Southampton. Any Southampton fan listening to this wouldn't begrudge us being like, we're hopefully going to win and win comfortably. You're letting facts, figures, and stats inform your opinion, and also just the logic. But I see this as a huge game, though. Like in terms of, I hope people aren't thinking, okay, we're playing Southampton. It's a huge game because it's just just getting the train back on the tracks a little bit. One loss doesn't, like I say, a lot of Newcastle fans, the majority, it was nice to see and speak to people after the game, leaving the ground on last Saturday, and speaking to people in the pub, and it was very just, well, can't have it our way all the time. We've been spoilt recently. We didn't play very well, and by half they were pretty good as well. And it was nice to see a bit of what's the word? Sensible opinion about the whole thing instead of melting down. I'm sure in certain corners of social media and some certain people will be kicking off about it. But like I say, I think, like you said, I don't think we've got the manager who's going to allow that to happen. But like I say, a big game, just a reaction, just get the win, and then you've got Fulham at home on Saturday, and it's getting it back, just leading up to that cup semi-final. So I just see it as that's why I'm a little bit nervous for it, because of what for me feels like it's riding on it. Just momentum, just getting that momentum back. As much as which we should be winning, there's a lot riding on it, I feel.
I think as long as the players don't turn up, as you said, and going, it's only Southampton.
Exactly.
Then we'll be fine.
And like hopefully what's going to inform some sort of positivity is in this run we had before the Bournemouth game, the teams that were down there, we handily beat 4-0 and 4-0. And it wasn't like they could have scored, or we shouldn't have won. We should have. It was one of those games. Leicester and Ipswich should have been 5 or 6 comfortably. So hopefully it's another one of them, and hopefully you never know. Fingers crossed, it's one of those ones where we get off to a flying start as well, because that really sets the tone for Newcastle games, I think, because they start exploiting the spaces that the other team leaves.
Absolutely. Well, if you are a Southampton fan and you are watching this, let us know in the comments below what you think the score is going to be. How do you think the game's going to go? And, how is your season going? I'm sure you're not happy about the season.
What a question!
I know.
How's the season going, lads?
How's those 6 points treating you?
Oh God, we are setting up for some hate if there is some Southampton fans watching here. Like, if they get some, I'll get results. They're going to be like, Scott,
that red card, they deserve it. I don't care. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Southampton fans. You don't deserve anything. You should never have got relegated in a couple of seasons ago, because I always like Southampton. Although I don't like Matt Letizia these days. But anyway, that's another
different can of worms, mate. Or a different glass of water. Like Ricky Lambert said, a glass of water, if you just slag it off, it just goes nasty. Just slag water. If you slag water off, the water goes nasty, man.
Yeah, just wrap it in
Science.
tinfoil, it'll be fine. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, let me know in the comments below what your predictions and everything is as well. While you're down there, if you hit the little thumbs up, if you've liked this video, that would be grand. And if you want more of our videos in your YouTube feed, just become a subscriber. Costs you nothing to do that. But if you do want to give a little back, we do have a membership program. It's $2.99 a month. That'll get you early access to videos like this one, as well as access to the Telegram group and exclusive access to videos and podcasts. We've just put an episode of Canny Chatter up, which is available on video only for members on YouTube. But you can get the audio if you're not a member through your podcast, Spotify and iTunes, or whatever else you consume your podcast through. Boys, I'm looking forward to this one. Hopefully we get a reaction that we need. Hopefully we'll come back with 3 points and set us up nicely for a game against Fulham, and then that all-important second leg in the Carabao Cup.
Oh, I feel sick.
Sorry,
on.
Matty. Go for a walk. If it wasn't raining or snowing or whatever it is where you are, I would say go for a walk. But yeah,
It never stops me in the past, mate.
It never stops you in the past. But anyway, we'll see you all in the next one. Have a good one. See you later.
Bye-bye.
Ta-da.